what is the poorest country, and this is the point made by the ambassador in the keynote as well, of the group represented here. So my first question is, since many of you are more integrated with China than India is so far, do you have guidance on how India should, as it were, prepare itself, being much poorer than China, in integrating with China? Or is the attitude of our media, which is, and our negotiators as far as I know, or for all I know, that basically it is dangerous for India to integrate with a richer China? And secondly, since this is about technology, the question of what are benchmarks that poor countries should use to decide where they are in technology and where they should be, I think is quite important. The make versus buy decision. Our telecom industry, I think, flourished because we innovated on business models rather than basic research. China at the moment is putting a lot of resources into basic research, and I think I heard in the presentation from Thailand that they lament the fact that there's not a lot of innovation taking place. So for this group of countries, for the ASEAN countries, for India, what is the right metric for technology?
Thank you, Chairman. Ashok Sajanha, former ambassador. I have two short questions. One to Datuk Jaysri Jaisena. And both of my questions are really related to what has been mentioned as the trade war between United States and China. There are, some of the allegations and some of the complaints that have been made by the United States against China. Currency manipulation, etc., it's an old one. But, you mentioned one that is forcing the companies to share the technologies with the promise to get a share of the market access, that is not allowed by the WTO. Some of the other allegations are in terms of the fact that there is inadequate protection of intellectual property rights. My question to you is, are any of these things, can they be taken up in the WTO with the safe that there will be a solution that the WTO can bring to these questions if the United States had decided to go to the WTO rather than taking these unilateral measures which it says are affecting its national security. So that's the question to you. My second question is to Professor Simon Tay. And you, Professor Tay, mentioned, and I think that was also brought out by Dr. Chan, that let's say the example of iPhone that you gave, that about 3% plus of the value addition is being done in China, while rest is being done as a result of the global value chains for things that are happening elsewhere. So if there is this additional tariffs that are being imposed on imports from China, it is hurting the other countries also, as you mentioned. And now there are reports that industries are moving out of China. My question to you is, can this be done in a quick manner, this movement of the industry from China outside? And if that happens, will that not help all the countries in the region? Because even that 3% or 5%, whatever it is, in these high technology value products, that will also come to the other countries. And it will be beneficial because the global value chains are already existing in these markets. Thank you.
Any more questions? Yeah, Professor.
Thank you, Chair. My greetings to all the speakers for excellent presentations. My question goes to Professor Simon Tay for your excellent presentation this afternoon. Your point about flying geese, I wanted to ask you what direction geese are really going in and how you see Akamatsu's theoretical framework, even if we keep Prebisk Singer hypothesis aside, how you see what direction they are going. Are they coming back home as Trump is emphasizing, or they are likely to go the Asia, Africa, largely in context of, as in the keynote address it was mentioned, free, open, inclusive, prosperous Indo-Pacific?
Please.
Thank you very much. Shu Urata from Japan. I have a question maybe to all the panelists. This is a question related to Dr. Sumanberry asked earlier. Technology, and my case, technology and employment. Many technologies now developed are skill-biased, so-called technology, or unskilled labor-saving technology. Typical cases of robot or robotics. In order to produce, competitive goods, maybe it is necessary to use this technology. If that is the case, how should developing countries, which is, almost by definition, with abundant labor, deal with this technology? If they apply or adopt these technologies, I think that will result in maybe possible unemployment problem. That, of course, is a problem. So I just wanted to ask panelists how developing countries should deal with these technological development. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have nearly 6 questions. Which order and who would like to take which question? Professor Tay, there was one specifically directed to you.
Thank you, Ambassador. Let me start with the question. I think I'll take it together. The question of India integration, value chains across Asia, and the flying geese, if I could try to group them together. Because I think India-China relations are something that no one should talk about, as maybe India and China. It's a very difficult topic. There's so many dimensions about it. But I think I'll put the question back to you in India. It's not so much integrating with China. Given what I've said about how China is integrated, or we are integrated around China, this question is whether you want to be integrated with the rest of East Asia. It's not that you can integrate with everybody else and leave China out of it. So of course the terms of engagement, there have been complaints not only by Trump, but by Europeans and others about Chinese policies. And each country must deal with this as you can. I would say that every country always tries to negotiate the best for them and to get away with hell if they can get away with hell. So, it's up to you, and you're a big country, so you can find a good balancing point. The broader question about the value chains, I think there are signs that this is not a trade war, but a long-term, much deeper competition. If that is correct, and it's not just Trump, but it's a broad spectrum of the American establishment, American companies, then some of us see a 7 to 10 year ongoing conflict. I mean, it can come up and down. At G20, maybe Trump will say something nice, it'll come down a bit, but overall, this competition is likely to continue. Therefore, the value chains are likely to move. Even before this, many companies were already looking for a China plus one strategy. And Vietnam, which Tan knows very well, is the first beneficiary. It's really boomed. Vietnam, of course, has its own reasons to be attractive. ASEAN has its own reasons to be attractive. But this pressure on the China supply chain will help. China has also been very successful keeping not only the high end, not only the middle, but even the low value jobs. I don't know how they did this. But with this final push, some of these lower value added jobs may start to go into Cambodia, Laos, and other places where labor is still very cheap. And I think this brings me to the question of some of the more difficult clusters. Many people want to move into ASEAN or other countries, but can those countries catch it? Now, Thailand's got some strong clusters, autos and some electronics, but Penang in Malaysia got some strong clusters. But they really do need the cluster to attach to. Otherwise, there's really no place for them to go, even though China is not so cheap or as comfortable or whatever it is, they have no choice. So I think you will see a lot of companies now trying to figure out what to do if this is going to be a much more divided world, where China, they'll never give up on China, but there will be much less ability to just rely only on China. And I think I've said too much, so I'll stop there.
Anybody else would like to?
I think Ambassador Ashok had a specific question to me on the WTO.
I agree with you that the rules in the WTO will not be actually allowing this kind of solutions. But the point I think people are lamenting about is that while the system is there, the members of the system have sort of abused the system. They should have gone through the process and let the body, the DSB, to decide what should be the recourse before unilaterally starting to impose the tariff hikes. I think that is the one that people are complaining about. While there's always room for looking at some of these issues if they do not actually allow for good trade relations in the future. Now, even some of the FTAs, I think, have actually tried to address some of these issues. Now, on, I think the first question about being integrated with China. Well, for Malaysia, I would say that there is some history to it. I think we were one of the earliest to establish relations with China, and then we also have a Chinese community in Malaysia. And we also see China as a huge market. And that's one of the reasons why we established very close relations. Now, when we were negotiating the TPP, people were asking, are you forsaking China for the US? We said no, there is no competition between the TPP and the Chinese market. I think, Professor Urata, you asked about labor saving and technology development. In Malaysia's case, it is different. We used to have cheap labor and so on. But today, we are actually grappling with foreign workers. And we want technology development, automation, in order to be able to cut down the flow of low-paid foreign workers, because that's one big issue that we are grappling with to get out of the middle-income trap.
Okay. Let me address Professor Urata's comment. In the case of Thailand, we are facing the many difficulties. In particularly, we facing aging economy, and we facing a shortage of labor, both in terms of quantity and quality. So, in the case of Thailand, we are not much worried about the rise of the new technology to replace the labor, because we have some problems already. But we have to prepare ourselves for making our labor to be highly qualified for the new technology, because they have to be the controller, and I mean they have to work with the robot, something like that. So they have to understand and can design them correspondingly. So for other countries, I think that there are some grace period between before the technology can have major impacts on their countries. In this grace period, these countries, as well as Thailand, should improve our education system. So the next generation of our labor will be better quality. Thank you.
A few humble views. Story is an inspirational one. Japan used to produce no cars, but they become a car manufacturing kingdom, because first of all, they have very well-trained students go abroad and then coming back to Japan. They don't stay out of the country. They come back to Japan. And Japan bought all the first-rate cars where there is, from Germany, from British, from UK, from the US. And the return engineering, they do reverse engineering and will be made out of it. So buy or make, it depends on various stages of domestic capacity. I would like to mention about MAI, Multilateral Agreement on Investment. A lot of discussion has been going on, and then the most difficult part is that how do you maintain a multilateral system with domestic sovereignty in terms of which investors they want to invite. So in terms of process technology or technology per se, it's not that China demand IPR or review to them. Otherwise, they could make 100% iPhone themselves. So the regulation is still there as such that it's a global value chain itself, each with its own comparative advantage. Where would the flying geese go? I think it would depend on nations. Which nation in a given time produce the most inviting business environment, and then that's where the trend will go. For India, India's advantage, I think, is on the software in the whole IT industry. So given the stage of hardware manufacturing is not still the cup of tea as yet, at this stage, I think India could do very well by combining the software with a hardware country. Whether this country is A or B, it will be for India to decide. Now, the last one, I would touch upon a little bit about the national security. National security is the area, I believe, that in multilateral system is very difficult to define because each country in a given time feel more secure or less secure in a certain protective area. So I would like to say that this is still the challenge for a regional global regime to, so collaborate with each other. How do we define security? Thank you.